I'm just laughing because I'm a very slow learner, and I was having a good time making a video. It's three. It was 3 o'clock in the morning when I started. It's like 3:44. So the video was like at least half an hour long, and I used up all my hard drive space again, and the program just shuts down, and I lose whatever I was talking about. I thought I was being entertaining for my limited audience that enjoys my company and my particular form of uh, patter. But anyways, I, I don't like to repeat. I don't redo videos or repeat videos, generally speaking, or like, oh, let's do another take or whatever, because I don't remember if I said it. And if it's a fresh piece of thing, it's always going to be a fresh segment or a fresh piece of thing, as far as at least for that day, if it's just one take. So I couldn't remember if I had told you the story of my brother stabbing himself in the hand or not. And like, because it's just happened. Okay. So, but this illustrates my brother's character uh, really well, is that he's coring an apple with a fillet knife. A fillet knife, for anybody that doesn't, not familiar with fillet knives, they're narrow at the, even at toward the hilt, and then they get narrower and narrower and narrow to a very sharp point. So he's coring an apple, and he slips and stabs himself in the hand. And I'm like talking to him, and he's like, I stabbed myself in the hand. And I'm like, and then he described how he did it, which I described to you. And I said, how bad is it? He goes, not that bad. It didn't go all the way through. I start laughing, you know. I'm, I'm like, well, did you hit any tendons, or, can you move your fingers? And he goes, oh, yeah, I can move my fingers. And he's like, that's all that matters. And I'm like, okay, man. That would be all that matters to me, because you can't see it, but I stabbed myself in the hand, like right here. Um, I was actually cutting off a band aid uh, with a knife that was dull and had a whole lot of pressure built up, and just slipped and stabbed myself in the hand with a little Barlow pocket knife, a cheap piece of crap pocket knife. And pulled it out, and I was like, I got a pretty interesting looking scar from it, but I'm white. Scar's white, so it don't show up. But yeah, that's my brother. And like, most people's definition of bad would be what happened to him. If he says like, I cut myself bad, it usually means like, you should probably go to the hospital for it. Or like, I'm in pain means like rolling around on the floor screaming to other people. Or like, he's a whole different type of level, pain tolerance wise. And I'm just going to assume that I didn't say this already in this video, and it was part of the last video, but it's like he'll be working and get stung by a hornet, and he'll keep working like it's a mosquito bite. He'll just be like, fuck, and then just keep working like it's a mosquito bite. And I'm pretty sure like if he had a boss and he got stung by a hornet, and he'd be like, oh fuck. And the boss would be like, well, what happened? He'd be like, I just got stung by a hornet. The boss would be like, take five. He just like keeps going and just ignores it. And like one time he didn't keep going. He got stung by two hornets and a wasp, like almost all at the same time. And he said, after the wasps got down my shirt and zapped me a couple of times on my chest, he's like, I, I was like, did you keep working? Just out of curiosity. And he's like, no, I quit after that. I took a break. I was like, okay. And I was thinking to myself, like, anybody else would have been quit after getting stung by the hornets. You had the wasp zap you a few times in the chest to quit. But yeah, that whole thing about, no, it wasn't that bad. It didn't go through. And I just had a mental picture of like a fillet knife stuck out through his hand and stuff. And I just started laughing. And but anyways, that was just something that I was talking about video that failed. I have to like complete that damn book and make myself do it and get those files off of here because they're just taking up all the room on this computer. And yeah, I have to get rid of those. Um, if I get that book finished the way I want and then publish it, I can delete all the files associated with it. It's like hours, it's like a 12-hour book. So, that will help with the whole of like me suddenly disappearing when I'm being entertaining for a change. Um, yeah, I was talking about some morbid stuff too. So, not, I mean, you probably consider that morbid, but stabbing yourself in the hand. But like, like depressing type stuff because I didn't have a good day yesterday. I'm up early in the morning because I did it on purpose. I was like, ah, fuck it. I'm going to go to sleep early and wake up early. And so I went to sleep. Like, I just got sleepy. It was just like, I can't fight it. And I woke up at like before midnight. So I'm like, I want to rearrange my schedule so I can go for walks in the morning and sit out in the morning sunshine and stuff. Somebody beat the hell out of my door yesterday. I don't know who it was, but it actually made me jump. I was in bed getting caught up on this Ozark show. And I'm like, I don't know who the fuck that is, but whoever they are, it's not good because everybody that I know would just ring my phones. Both my phones are on and charged. And I don't know if it's Christopher. I don't know if it's that's the PTSD vet. I don't know if it's my foster brother wanting to see me. I don't want to see him. I got nothing to say to him. I don't know who it is. If it's the police, it sounds like a damn cop knock. I don't give a damn who the fuck it is. I'm not getting out of bed because if they're not gonna call, it's gonna beat on my door. It's nothing good. So I didn't even get out of bed for it. And it's like I'm not that bored that I want to be involved in nonsense. And there's like a bunch of craziness going on in the family right now. And it's like I thought for a minute, I was like, well, it might be this one person, and they might. I was like, no, they would call. It's like they would, I don't know what that was about. I was curious, but I wasn't curious enough to get involved in any stupid bullshit. But yeah, yesterday wasn't a particularly good day for me, and I had an anxiety attack where I was laying in bed and I only took my pulse once, but it was 1:42 in the afternoon, and I know that because to take my pulse, I hit this button on the computer and it puts up the time in a clock, and then it has a second hand, so I take my pulse. So it was 1:42 in the afternoon. I had a pulse of 97, laying in bed when my pulse rate is resting pulse rates in the low 70s. So if I'm not moving or doing anything, so I'm like, I could feel it, and it just felt weird. And I'm like, I gotta take a blood pressure pill. That's gonna fuck up my whole day. And then I called my brother, and that's how I found out about him stabbing his hand. Is like he was very very nice. He was very supportive and stuff. He was like, because I was like, yeah, because I woke him up because growing up in our house, everybody got problems, and he has a lot of sleep disruption and stuff, and so I don't usually call him until after 5, but I called him at 1:42, and he was like, oh, he woke me up, and I was like, oh, that's okay, man, you can go back to sleep. And he said, well, I might as well stay awake now, but I could tell like he was just being nice. He's like, he's figuring that I just needed to talk, or I wouldn't be calling him at that time of day. I appreciated that. At least that's the way I took it. I could be interpreting that wrong. I don't know. But so I talked to him about this, that, and the other for a while. He likes small talk, and I can do that. I'm not real. I don't not a big aficionado of small talk, but I can do it. Um, you know, yeah. So I didn't call Medicaid to find out if I was renewed or not. I kind of looked around a little bit for the letters that come from, like it would be a verification letter. So I was talking about like getting that mysterious envelope within an envelope. Like, am I supposed to send like a rent receipt? Do I need to do more shit? You know, and you can't fuck around with your medical insurance, man. That's one thing you cannot mess around with. It's like I don't care about the food stamps part of it. I don't get anything, and they call it EBT, or it's on a card now because it's a different age. But back in the day, they were actual, you know, books of stamps that you peeled off like dollar bills, and you had your $5 food stamps. And there's even an old movie called Jumping at the Boneyard where the guy was like, "I got a $10 food stamp." And there's a bunch of poor dudes, and they were trying to like chip in on something or other. He's like, "I got a $10 food stamp," and it just looked like a dollar bill that said 10 on it. But now everything's computerized and, of course, on a card. But I don't get enough food credits or whatever the fuck you want to call it to even care about that. I get like $16 a month, so I don't really care about that. But anyways, like I didn't do that, and I'm hoping like I'm like kind of like just blowing things up. It's like I'm just gonna change my whole schedule and change everything and see if like get that morning walk thing that I was doing there, because I haven't been walking enough, and haven't been going outside enough, and it's because at night, lots of times I don't feel like I'm not afraid to go walking at night, but I just don't like it. I like walking in the mornings, and it's like it kind of like throws me off too, as far as like it wakes me up. You get out there and the air is cooler and different. It kind of like wakes me up, and I'd rather be woke up in the mornings. So just blowing it all up and trying something different before I slip into a depression or something. And I didn't do any looking at any houses or anything, trying to find a different place to live. Um, uh, the real estate agent dude, like I told him about, getting those two places off of the aid worker, and he asked me if I called him or anything like that, and I was like, no, I didn't feel like doing anything, like, but I haven't heard from him since then. But I have like so many different things to look through, and it's just an exhaustive process trying to find a place, and then it has to meet certain specifications and all this, and it's just annoying. I thought I found a place that I wanted to live, and then they have some stupid rule that blocks me out, and then I have to start the process all over again that led to me finding that place. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be ideal. Um, so I figure I just have to make sure I don't slip into any depression. Um, you know, the question is like how much of my depression is contributed to actually living here. I mean, how longer can I live here before I go start raving Jack Nicholson in The Shining nuts? Because like I said, I'm paying $425 to live here. I'm able to, even on my limited income, I'm able to bank $700 every month. So if I can hang out here for 3 more months, you know, that's $2,000 I can save, and that's a lot of money for a poor person. It's like I saved up a shitload of money, like $4,500 just over a period, just since I think I started saving in earnest in September, just from September until last month. So September until March, even just getting at 12.48, uh, actually less than that, 12.28, and then I got a $20 bump, uh, like a cost of living increase. But we'll call it 12.48. I'm being like all over the place here. Anyways, to save up that much money when you only have 12.48 to live on is a pretty good trick. From let's see, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. That's really that. Wait a minute, that's a pretty long time. Well, I don't know when I started money, but anyway, saving up money on that little bit of money to live on is difficult. Because you figure even if you, what would that be? That would be like, I shouldn't try to do math in front of you. It's unseemly. It's like picking my nose or something, trying to do math in front of you. So I shouldn't do that. But anyways, it's a lot of money to save up for that short period of time. I'd have to, I don't remember when I was flat broke, but I mean, I was flat broke, like borrowing money um, around the beginning of the football season, which starts in September. I remember I was borrowing money and putting it in the bank to keep from getting overdrafted. So I've gone from that to having enough money to where I can throw down a 3-month lease and still have savings. I mean, cover a 3-month lease. See, I'm all talked out now because, like the other video, uh, I used up all my energy in good stories and whatnot, in that one. What? So you're getting an inferior product. I will not lie. Um, but anyways, yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and keep doing the daily videos. I mean, like I said, it can be like baseball, and be a familiar face for you to look at, or if you enjoy. I don't know why you would enjoy hearing my voice. My voice is horrible these days. At least I didn't start out with a wheeze, and I was wheezing. And yesterday I was kind of concerned. I had talked to my aide worker, and she had complained about missing that week of work because of a fever. And she's like, fever is not the first symptom of. The first symptom is a cough or something to do with your respiration. I'm like, oh, okay. So I was kind of like waiting to see if I'd break out in a fever because I don't wheeze like that. I started to say hello in the last video and it came out as a wheeze. And I was wheezing throughout the video, but the microphone only picks up so much of it. And yeah, I don't need that. Of course, nobody needs COVID, but I don't need to get sick in general. Period, because that means I have to go to the doctor, and then I got the dentist thing to think about. I don't think I talked about that in this video. That was in the failed video, but can you think of a worse place to go than a dentist right now with COVID running around? I mean, you got actual people up in your face and your mouth open. Well, they tell you, don't touch your face. They're probably not having strangers stick fingers in your mouth. It's probably right up there with the don'ts. I know the do's and don'ts of COVID-19 survival. And then I got like the heart condition thing, so it's just like, am I gonna lose this tooth? You know, I'm already getting like pain in it. Usually, by the time you get pain, you got a problem. And then like, it don't look like much, but it's close to the gum line. It's like the fun never ends. So, yeah, youth really is wasted on the young. Because I spent a lot of time in reflection yesterday. That's why I had an anxiety attack. And I was reflecting on the past and the periods of my life and the time wasted. And you know, the time wasted like trying to do things and accomplish things, and then like trying to build relationships with people that fell through, and then I started like thinking about like what is it about me that people don't like, because I don't people don't seem to like me. It's like I'm trying to figure out what exactly that is, why people don't like me. Hmm. I don't know. I'm not talking about like, being a shirtless, toothless, bald old dude laying in bed. Not why they're not liking these videos. I can understand why people wouldn't like these videos. But I mean, me personally, when I was a handsome dude, people didn't like me. I was trying to figure out why that was. And it's like, I don't know. I'm not ingratiating. Uh, who can figure out their own unlikability? I thought like being handsome was supposed to be like an advantage. When I used to be handsome, and it didn't seem to help me much, except for sometimes I would get hit on awkwardly by women, and that would be funny. Um, I had I forget how old I was, but I had this cougar like trying to help me like steady the bicycle for me while I was trying to get on my bicycle. I don't know, you know, it's like I think I was rocking a stash back then or something. So I know I wasn't like, you know, she didn't think of me as a kid on a bicycle. She thought of me as a piece of meat that she'd like to play with. But it was very funny. And it's like, that's all you got? That's as smooth as you can be, you know? First of all, if a young dude wants to screw an older dude, oh, that come out really bad. If a young dude wants to screw an older woman, the older woman don't have to be subtle, okay? But if an older dude wants to screw a younger woman, he not only has to be subtle, he usually has to be rich too. But anyways, that all came out horribly. That came out with some like overtones of latent homosexuality in it or something. I don't know. But Freudian slip aside, that was just funny. That it's like she was like, "Oh, let me help you," and it's like, you can see me, and it's just riding a bike. I got the bike here. I think I can handle it. You don't have to hold the bike up by the handlebars for me. Why don't you just like slap my ass or something? Give me a good pinch. That not that that hasn't happened before. Used to get hit on by like a lot of gay dudes, and then that stopped. And I was like, that's when I realized that I was uh, aging less than gracefully. All these gay dudes would always be hitting on me and stuff because they like the pretty boys, I guess. Um, Women seem to be like more sensible. Like they like people that they like manly dudes that are confident and can get shit done and know how to fix shit and like are useful. You know, it's like a woman will care about your job and care about your abilities and care about this and care about that, and it's just a bonus if you're good looking. Guy don't give a crap about any of that stuff. He just wants the good looking part. This is just generally speaking. It's um, like, oh, you're a cashier. That's interesting. Will you sleep with me? It's like if oh, you're a bag boy. It's status and you know um, your job and stuff. It just matters more to women as far as whether you're gonna anything's gonna be happening between the sheets. That's just the way things work, according to my limited and admittedly uh, low understanding of such matters. But anyways, uh, yeah, that whole like dynamic is funny to me, and it's always, I always got to give props to anybody that's not just because they're hitting on me and it's an ego stroke, but just the balls, because you know it from the other side. It's just the nerve to put yourself out there, and I do it uh, with no game at all. And I can understand why I was a failure with women. I definitely can understand that because I would get hit on by women, and then if they did it right, if they did it subtly, I'd be too stupid to pick up on it until the ship had already sailed, and it would be like the next day, and I'd be like puzzling it out, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's why she was like laughing at my jokes and like wanting to extend the conversation and stuff. Oh, okay, you know. And then when they would do it unsubtly, it's like I wouldn't be interested, not because it was unsubtle. It's just like wouldn't be interested. Just uh, yeah, I just wasn't. I was just doomed to failure. Let's put it that way. There's been a lot of times where I thought back and it would be like hours later, and I was like, oh, okay, I did not play that right at all. I was like, it's not my fault. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no clue. I was busy when I was supposed to be learning the nuances of interpersonal sexual type stuff. I was too busy, like getting shot up with morphine and getting parts cut out of me and surviving. So that's a pretty valid excuse. But I was a pretty good looking dude in my 20s, so it wouldn't have been difficult for me to have sex with either sex if whatever my deal was. But yeah, whatever. Yeah, then I started to go bald and lost all my luxurious hair that everybody always used to freak out over. And I just took it for granted. And you know, that people that are young, they always take youth for granted, or like I remember like used this example before, but I was talking to some 27-year-old kid, a Danish kid that had Asperger's, that somehow got it in his head that he would get old and would not ache and hurt. And I'm like, dude, that is just part of the deal. I've never talked to anybody of who reaches a certain age where aches and pains is just like part of the deal, man. He's like, it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. And I'm like, yep, you're like the heroin addict that says, I'm going to be the one exception. And I'm not going to get hooked on this shit. You know, everybody likes to think they're that one exception to the rule. It's like, nope, no exceptions. You get old, you hurt. Nobody's taking better care of himself than my cop friend, and he does this a lot when he's driving. It's like kind of unnerving when we're flying down the road at 70 miles an hour and he's doing this with his neck. Because he's got like a little arthritic thing going on with his neck. That dude like smoked a little bit in college. That's about it. You know, he used to like win the cop Olympics all the time and humiliate people that were 20 years his junior. And probably didn't look good for the police department either. So they probably wanted him to take a dive. Take a dive, for God's sakes. I don't want. I almost said his last name, but yeah, man, you're making all of us look bad. You're a freaking 50-year-old man, and you're beating 20-year-olds in like marathon races, and you know, and tests of strength and shit. Um, anyways, point is, you get old, you hurt. It's just part of life. Sorry about that. That's gross what I just did there, but yeah. Uh, yeah, I don't know, man. Like I said, I keep doing the daily videos just in case anybody is comforted by hearing my horribly gravelly voice. It's just what it sounds like to me. Or maybe that's just because of the way it feels. Or like, just is used to seeing me. I mean, I can always talk about nonsense. Talk about my ineptitude in the sexual realm. Or talk about my weird family, which I can't really talk about them the way I want to talk about them, but talk about yeah, like I was talking to the I wish I could just use people's names, but I just don't ever feel right about that. Even though I've slipped with that guy's name a million times, but my real estate guy, I was like, everybody says that their family is crazy, okay, but my family is crazy with a capital C, and it's a capital C as in capital punishment. And I said, I was texting him, and I said, my uncle was a serial killer. My dad actually, or my uncle that it was a serial killer who was afraid of my dad. My brother drank brake fluid because he was such a bad alcoholic and got chemical pneumonia. Killed a guy in Georgia and fleed up here, and I'm not really ratting him out because nobody gives a fuck, and they couldn't prove it anyway. Statute of limitations be damned, they couldn't prove it because the guy was as he put it, a Vietnamese kid, which probably meant like just some young dude that decided to pull a knife on my brother. Why don't you just jump off a bridge? Stupid. And my brother, like, you know, my older brother, one taught me how to box. Well, reached casually in his pocket, pulled out a charade knife that he had. That he showed me the knife that he killed the guy with. That you just all you had to do was like grab the handle part and then click it open. Killed the guy. So it's like that's not a knife. This is a knife. It wasn't like that. It's like, yeah, okay, you okay, little guy, you're gonna scare me with your knife. No, I'm gonna kill you. He killed the guy, and it's like that's what I told. And that stuff sticks in people's heads when you start talking about that kind of shit. And so he remembered. Like he'll ask me the same questions about things. And I'm like, I already gave an answer for that, but he brought that up himself. It's like because I was like, most people say that their family is crazy. Mine's crazy with a capital C, as in capital punishment. It's like they're like a string of bodies connected with my name. It's like my name carried weight, even though I didn't do anything. I was like I said, I was Pete's boy for until I was in around 20 years old. I didn't have a name because my dad had that dominant personality and was like off the chain, crazy, scary. So, oh, you're Pete's boy. They just wanted to keep that in mind. Like, that's Pete's boy. Be nice to Pete's boy. So, anyways. So, yeah, that really isn't like knocking my brother out saying that because it can't tie into that. And, the statute of limitations on murder, I think there is none. But it was they couldn't prove it was him. It was on the in the outskirts of Atlanta. And he done told that to at least me and my foster brother. I don't know who all he told that to, but that's why he's living in Ohio, and he lives like right down the road, like right next to my older sister that kicked me to the curb. But they don't ever see each other or talk to each other because they have long-standing hatreds from childhood. And I guess I feel bad saying this shit, but it's just interesting stuff. But part of it is my brother that killed the guy, a terrifying guy, and very good. He'd get bar fights like all the damn time. That's like he's the guy that taught me how to box. So that's why I know how to take care of myself, is because he taught me how to box. And that's why I laugh when I see like people get hit with a roundhouse right. It's like block that and yawn. Because people throw that roundhouse right, instead of a straight punch, you just block that and while you're yawning and getting in position to counter right. It's just so. Anyways, um, but my brother was like trouble, always trouble, and he's famous for throwing a guy named uh, Cork Vargo, uh, and that's where I got the idea to throw my foster brother into a lake. But he just picked him up and threw him in a lake just because he said, like, I don't like the way you're talking to me. It was over something stupid, but he just picked him up and threw him in a lake. I don't know if it was off of a cliff or anything like that, anything super dramatic. But you know, these are old stories. But so everybody was scared to death of my older brother, and my older brother didn't want nobody making time with his younger sister. So that gave my sister a complex, thinking that she was ugly because no guys paid her any attention because they didn't want to get the living fuck beat out of them by my older brother, which is probably not a unique story, but I think it's why they don't talk to each other. It's because my brother was like a supreme cockblock to my sister, and hurt my sister's self-esteem. And he also had like a habit of like borrowing your shit without asking, basically stealing. But you know, it'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna take this for a while, and you know, you can not much you can do about it. So, um, but yeah, they don't. She don't talk to him. A lot of my family don't talk to each other. So, like, there was 7 brothers and sisters. One of them committed suicide, and but out of the other 6, it's like I don't think it's not. I think there's like so much hurt and fractured relationships in there that like there might be like uh, one sister talks to nobody in the family. Um, one sister talks to maybe one other person in the family. I talk to 2 other people, 2 of my brothers and sisters. That's what I should have been saying instead of family is brothers and sisters. So it's all a big mess. But at some point you gotta let that shit go, man. You know. But that wasn't cool of my older brother to be like, you know, anybody that it wasn't just like the idea of messing with this guy's sister. It was like he was putting the word out there, you know, and he might have like hurt some people to him, you know, that he thought had intentions and it got around or something like that. But I think that's why they don't talk to each other. But they live like walking distance from each other, which is really, you know, it's just weird that you're gonna hold on to that. But like I said, once relationships get to the point where you're not talking to each other or they just die, you know, they just wilt like flowers that don't get any sunshine. You got to nurture like relationships, and you got to keep in contact with each other. So even if you nothing like that happens where somebody is cock blocking you and making you feel ugly because no guys seem to be interested in you as a teenage girl, even if it's a situation where you have a good relationship, if you just drift apart, you drift apart, then you're just strangers to each other. So, you know, like relationships have to be nurtured and watered and given sunshine. You just have to maintain contact with each other and not let time go by. Enough time goes by, it's like, it's just, there's nothing there anymore. And you can call up old memories and stuff, you know, but if the memories are like in my family, it's like a lot of memories you don't want to call up. So, anyways, I never talked about that kind of stuff before, so you know, it's like I don't think it's too personal. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's why people don't like me. I don't know where to draw lines. I never knew where to like draw lines in conversation. I'd get that look a lot like, "Who the hell are you?" You know, it's like I'm telling you who I am, and that's what you're confused by. But they're like, "You're just some strange. You're kind of strange, aren't you?" I'm like, "Yeah, strange. Don't you like strange things? I mean, you ever taste cilantro? That's some weird shit to be eating, as far as I'm concerned." But yeah, I prefer to think of it as interesting. but it is like it's been a lonely life. Uh, you get isolated by there's several things that can isolate you in this life. It's like yeah, if you don't do if you don't drink, if you don't get high, and you're around a group of people that do that, you're automatically that's a step on the road to isolation. If you're of a high intelligence and you don't like you're not into a lot of bullshit, okay, you're really gonna working toward alienating yourself and isolating yourself. If you get a bad disease and you get sick and you can't do the other things that other people can do, then like yeah, you're really off in a corner now by yourself. And then you end up talking to yourself on the internet, which of course I'm talking to you, I'm not just talking to me. Believe me, I do not sit in a room and make these videos to nobody. I'm not quite that demented yet. That's maybe later. But yeah. If I put this up and like nobody watched it, and like I would stop. I would go find something else to do. I would like I don't know if I talked about that in this video or the failed one, but I would pick up my guitar. I was talking about like how much I enjoyed picking up a guitar and having a riff pop out after not messing with it for so long. And but I still don't. I'm just not comfortable with the guitar, and I like thinking guitar, and I like creating things, and I like switching riffs around, and like more trying to starting out on like a starting place, and like trying to make it take a musical journey and turning it into something else. And I like that kind of stuff, but I'm not. I'd rather be comfortable. I think I was talking about that in the other video, like um, when I was getting morbid about like death and stuff. It's like inequality of life. Like I don't really think I could enjoy fishing anymore unless I was not in pain. And I was like, I don't know, like opiates just seem to cloud your mind. You just have to be a stoned fisherman or something. I don't know, but I don't want to mess with opiates. There's not a whole lot of pain control options. If you're in pain, you're not going to be enjoying yourself, which is what I found out when I would go fishing. It's like I'm just sitting here in pain and discomfort. You know. But yeah, I do miss fishing a lot. My brother talks about it like all the time because he's avid fisherman. And but yeah, I should maybe give that a try again. But the last couple times I went fishing, I didn't really enjoy it. It's just yeah, it's just pain like ruins everything. That's why I like to distract myself by talking and thinking and writing, is it takes me out of my body. And if fishing, if you're sitting there thinking about like weird shit, or I fish with people that are very serious fishermen, and you're not like going to be having extended conversations with them while they're fishing, or they might be like hitting you in the head with a fishing lure or snagging you or something. So we go to fish. We'll talk a little bit between each other, but we're there to fish. We're there to catch fish. We aren't there to do the McNeil Lear News Hour or to chat about current events. We're there to fish. And it's a serious, serious type of thing. So I'd have to be sitting there like distracted thinking while I'm fishing, which is also not good because the whole point of fishing is to be plugged into nature. And for me to be plugged into nature would mean being plugged into my body and getting to feel all those painful sensations, and not being distracted by having to form words and sentences and thoughts and whatnot. Because you really like certain types of fishing, especially, you want to be plugged in and concentrating the whole damn time, because you got to feel like the tiniest little, you got to watch your line and see the tiniest little like deviation. Like say you're fishing in current and your line's rolling, and then it just slows down and you get a little slack for no reason at all. You can't be thinking about some kind of You can't be thinking about Friedrich Nietzsche or Albert Einstein's theory of relativity or what the fuck ever, your thing when that's happening. You have to be sit there and you have to be plugged in and waiting for that, and then you got to strike. You got a second to set that hook, or you're not going to catch any fish. So basically, I wouldn't want to go fishing and just have it be me sitting in a chair. Um, another example would be like uh, just the whole idea of like you have to feel like if you're fishing, like especially with lures, you have to feel what's going on. You have to keep your lure off the bottom and keep it at a certain depth. I mean, it's really like you have to be plugged into what you're doing, which means you have to be plugged into your body. You know, it'd be like trying to play basketball and you're not thinking and thinking about things. Letting your mind wander, letting your mind drift, or like coring an apple and you let your mind drift, and then bad things happen. You might as well try. I might as well try a callback. Shit, what do we got here? Like 40 minutes, 46 minutes. But yeah, I mean that's like I don't know. If you're a fisherman, there's like I don't know if you have a thing where like it's a part of your identity. It's just something you've always done, but to have that taken away from you, that's rough. It's a hard thing. Um, I don't know what examples that I could give for that, but it's like there's people that fish and then there's people that are fishermen where it's like part of your identity is like especially in this northern climate, it's every time spring would come. Ever since I can remember, it's time to go fishing and you'd wait for it. 'Cause I didn't do no ice fishing. I didn't have no money to do any ice fishing. I couldn't afford an auger. We could barely afford hooks. We used to go fishing and like scrounge around the shore for like lost hooks. We'd go fishing with two hooks, and you had to be very careful because I don't know if it was so much that we were poor, but or that we didn't want to ask our dad to buy us hooks when we were kids. But I mean, it's just something that I've always done and that I haven't been able to do for years now. Um, yeah, I wonder if she can hear me talking. My voice is deep, but I hear some movement up there. But my voice is deep, and as we know, deep sounds carry further than uh, higher pitched noises. But maybe it's time for her to be waking up. She usually wakes up around 5. Oh, it's only 4:30. I don't know. I'm such I'm such a nice dude. It's like I don't like to disturb anybody, um, even if they deserve it. Uh, but yeah, I, it's no thing for me to talk. So you know, I enjoy it. I enjoy conversation a lot more. But you know, if you didn't walk so loud, I wouldn't know you were awake. Yeah. See, this is why living here sucks. It's like I want to live somewhere where I'm like, are they really waking up for the morning, or is that a toilet flushing, or like you hear all these, you can just hear everything, and that's something I didn't take into consideration when I moved here. It's like, well, I knew it wasn't made for apartments. I just didn't know. You don't know. I was the only guy here, so there's no way I could know of the sound transference if you're the only guy in the building. It was fucking great living here. I had this giant house all to myself, and for like it was like 10 or it was a good 10 months before they got another tenant in here. Man, it was fantastic. It's like having my own house, except for I couldn't go into a few of the rooms. And so I didn't know about the sound transfer, and it never occurred to me that the hallway would be a major problem. It never occurred to me. And it wasn't like wasn't like I knew that they weren't bad people in the world. I grew up around bad people. Some people might have said that when I was younger that I was one of the bad people. So it's not that I didn't realize that, it's just I didn't realize that sharing a common hallway and a common front door would be a big deal. And not having your own doorway, your own door to go out. As they say in ads for apartments, a private entrance. That just means you can walk outside out your door and you don't have to go through a hallway. Um, yeah, my voice is starting to get hoarse, so I should shut up now, I suppose. Because I've been talking for like, count the other half hour, I've been talking for almost an hour and a half. Which, and so my voice is starting to go. And this hasn't been in very good shape lately here anyway. But yeah, it's getting around that. Actually, it's getting around the time where I could go for a walk. I got to put some food in my belly. I can go for a walk. And that's always exciting because I never know if I'm going to fall on the sidewalk and crack my head open. I should start taking a cell phone with me. I always forget. Take a cell phone with me in case I break an arm or a leg or something, or, can't get up and get messed up somehow. And yeah, it's going to be about that time. But then that's what I'll do today to try to help my funk a little bit is go sit outside in the sun because the sun's starting to rise earlier. You know, I know this, of course, from being a fisherman, which I keep repeating. But when we were kids, we thought like you had to go fishing before dawn. You wanted to be there. That's something I kept into my adulthood. Is like I like to go fishing like 4:30 in the morning and watch the sunrise and watch the sky turn into that get light to where it was like black and then into different shades of blue, and then the sun would eventually peak over the horizon. And the way I remember it, not having been able to go outside much, is this time of year the sun starts to come up around 6 in this particular region. When I used to trespass at one pond off of Wackerly Drive, which we just called Wackerly. That was just the name of the place to us. We'd want to get there around 5 o'clock. And then like 5:15 is when you start seeing the sky start to turn that blue. And then 5:30, you'd have enough light to work by. And then this is sun. Yeah, I can't even remember. That's just sad. Maybe I'll find out. I'll just go outside and find out. Reacquaint myself with the outside world and the patterns of the sun. And it will just make me want to go fishing. Maybe I can go in the backyard and like get a fishing rod and tie on little pieces of bread and fish for birds. Not with a hook, but just, you know, like tie it like a noose, cast it out there. Then when the bird grabs it, pull on it and freak the bird out. Play practical jokes on birds. Or I could practice my casting because birds are skittish. Practice my sitting still and casting. I can do my backyard fishing. And yeah, I could chum up some birds with some bread like I used to do with carp. And I can fish in the backyard and fish for birds. And then it'll just be a string. So I'd have to be careful not to let it get caught in their throats. I think of weird things. It's just I do. It's part of what made me a pretty decent writer, is being able to come up with crazy shit. But Yeah, I could fish for birds. And then every time I got a bird to bite, I would pull on it to make sure they wouldn't take the string down or throw it or hurt themselves in any way. And I would count that as a fish caught. And I could backyard fish back there in a chair, sit there with a fishing rod. The backyard's not very big though. That would be a problem. And that's all you saw what my backyard is like. So it probably wouldn't work. It'd work better if I did it off the front porch. But then they would probably come with the nets and drag me off in a straitjacket. And I wouldn't want to do that anyway because I don't want to have anything to do with any of these people in this building. And I still haven't figured out like who lives here now. I know the guy in the wheelchair lives here. I know Stampy lives here, but I don't know if the main problem lives here or not. He might have been the guy ba-bang, ba-bang, ba-banging on my door yesterday. I don't know who that was because I ain't get involved in no bullshit here. I can hang out and be a hermit here, but I don't want to. I do need to get out of here. Uh, but yeah, I like to let my mind roam so I can think of weird things like bird fishing. Yeah, come up with original things. I, sometimes I'll check that shit out online, like the name pork frog. Um, you know how people have their names on here, and they'll come up with a name like sports fisherman, and they'll have to put numbers after it. I just come up with pork frog on the first try, and there was no other pork frogs. Nobody wanted to be called a pork frog. So like I'll do that sometimes. I'm like, did anybody come up with the name Scorpion Foot? Because that's a very important character in my Blackfoot novel. And I'm like, nope. And maybe I'll do that with bird fishing. Just type in bird fishing and see if that's an original idea. If anybody actually, you know, take a fishing rod. Because it's very hard to be original. The book of Ecclesiastes in the Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. Uh, I'll see if anybody actually thought of that, fishing for birds. I mean, I've hooked birds by mistake, but it's not a good thing. I hooked a goose by mistake, and the goose figured out that I hooked him, and geese are mean, so it tried to attack me, and I had a duck. It came back flying at me before I could break the line and let it go. But I was fishing with bread and for carp, and it ate some bread, and it was hooked in the beak, and you know, so I'm like this, fighting a fish, fighting a bird in the air. Then I figured out that I was the one causing the pain, and it come right back at me, and I had to duck down on the ground because it tried to like smash into my head. And then, I was just kind of stunned for a second. It's like I never caught a goose before. I mean, I think I think I had to break off a couple of ducks, and I snagged other weird shit when I was fishing, like muskrats and stuff. We had to break the line because who wants to touch a muskrat? And I caught a regular rat, like I said, the one that I tried to cast into a group of people playing basketball because I have weird thoughts. But I said that this is worth an ass beating. I'm going to cast this rat in the middle of these basketball players, just because nobody in the history of man has ever done that. Anyways, this goose tried to attack me, and then I just broke the line. And it was at night, and so somebody's probably. Yeah, I'll have to check that out and see if that's an original idea. Something I've never thought about before is like because hooking birds would be like the opposite thing that I would want to do when I was fishing. But if you could tie on a piece of bread and like cast it and like be sly enough about it to get a bird to eat that bread off your line, and then like flick your wrist, and it should just be tied on there with no hook. Cause I don't like hurting things, or I don't even like killing stuff. I'm the kind of guy that will catch a spider and throw it outside if he is too freaked out by it. Like the purple and blue spider that was crawling across my TV. That I was like, I've never seen anything like this before, but I don't want it in my house. Just as big, it was dark and it was crawling across the top of my TV, and I was watching TV in the dark and I could see its shadow, moving across the TV. And I'm like, turned on the light and I was like, oh my God, what the fuck is that? It's a purple and blue spider the size of a tarantula. What the hell? And then I went and I ushered it onto a piece of paper. And then I already opened the window. It's when I first started living here, so that particular window wasn't broken yet. And I had it all ready, and I got a piece of paper, and I got it on a piece of paper, and then I started to push it toward the outside, and then it made a bum rush at my hand, and I threw the whole paper and the spider out the window, because I'm afraid of spiders. But yeah, I don't like hurting things. So, you know, I wasn't one that, I'm not really a mean person. Just an oddball character that has now talked too long. And if you heard that, excuse me. Getting old is no party. Anyway, on that note, I think the note was a B flat. Goodbye.